Aresha, you're about to retire from competitive squash. How are you feeling about that?
Made the decision a little while ago, but the more I've thought about it since then, I think it's absolutely the right thing and the right time for me to end my squash career, which I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed and feel like I've made the most of.
So obviously you played for England for many years. What's that been like then? You've had so many different teammates and coaches throughout that time. How special is that, putting on that England shirt?
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely spanned a couple of generations on the England team. Obviously, when I came into the team, I had a lot of established players like yourself. So it was, a lot of the time it was myself, you, Jenny Duncalf and Laura Massaro. You also had Emma Beddoes and then Victoria Lusk coming in as well, and then some others. And now we're on to a completely different team. So it's been a real pleasure playing for England. I think playing for your country is really special and something I have a lot of pride doing. And I think as well, with the history and everything that England squash has and the success that they've had over the years, to be able to actually break into that team was a massive milestone in my career. But being able to maintain my position on the team for so long is something I'm very proud of, but it's also a very special moment. Yeah. Every time you play for your country, a whole nation cheering you on is really quite something. And to experience that at home games in Birmingham, I'm sure you'll agree,
you can't beat that really, can you?
Was pretty spectacular, really.
And you decided to retire, or you're stopping playing after the British Open in June in Birmingham. So why did you decide that tournament?
British Open, one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world. Next one after the World Championships for many years was the de facto World Championships, really. So such history and prestige, and also the fact it's in Birmingham as well, which to finish on home soil in England is going to be very special.
Also, it's such a great opportunity for all the fans, everyone that's watched you over the years, everyone at England Squash, to see you play as well, and especially as you say, a local home event for you. It's going to be amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the best events when it comes to fans, the British Open, and it's going to be great for myself to have so many of those people that have chosen to support me over the years. My friends and family kind of have to support me.
So you went full-time at 21. So you've been playing, for 14 years on the circuit? But let's not mention age. What's been the most rewarding part of that journey for you?
I think if you'd have said to me then that I get to travel around the world and play the sport that I love for 14 years, I think it would have been completely just unfathomable for my 21-year-old self.
Yeah.
I was really close to taking a graduate job and not going down the squash route at all. It's been a hell of a journey, and haven't looked back for 1 second since I made that decision. And I think 14 years is a long time to compete at professional sport, and to have been able to do it at such a high level for so long. I'm not only grateful to everyone that's helped me do that, and to my body for just about managing that, but also very, very proud of that sort of legacy that my squash career, I feel, leaves behind.
So what do you think is one of the most rewarding things about being a squash player? You played in amazing locations, stayed with some brilliant people, billets that we've stayed at over the years. What for you would be one of the standout things?
I think the people that I've met along the way, the connections that you make, whether that's teammates and roommates like yourself.
Thank you.
Or billets that we've stayed with, where you've You can make friendships and everything that extend way beyond just playing in the squash tournaments. And I've been lucky enough to meet so many amazing people through squash and through playing on the tour. And particularly, I think for me is getting to meet the women that are driving either sport or participation.
And is that something you'd like to do post-career, get involved more on that side, not just with squash, but other sports and women in sport?
Yeah, I think I've thought about a lot of plans and not set on one specific thing at the moment, but I think it's something I am quite passionate about, empowering women in sport and driving but participation, but also like performance, and trying to get things like more female coaches and things like that would be incredible. So if I could be involved in that, that'd be great. And there's some people doing some amazing things already in some of the spaces, but there's always room for more. And if I can help facilitate in that in any way, I think that'll be really fulfilling.
So obviously, you've had some amazing coaches over your career and seen other coaches. Is that an area that you'd like to go down? I know you do a bit of work with a couple of girls now. Is that something you'd like to continue post-career?
Yeah, I've been doing just a really small amount the last couple of years with some local junior girls, and done a couple of little squads and things like that. So which I've enjoyed, and I've learned a lot from coaches throughout my career. I've learned a lot from them, and they sort of inspire me to want to pass some of that on as well.
So I think people don't realise there's a lot of highs and lows with the sport, as in it sounds very glamorous, you're jet setting all around the world, but it's tough, isn't it, if you lose a match or you're on a run where you're not playing that well. How do you overcome that, and how do you get yourself, it's such a quick turnaround, you've got to sort of forget that and move on. How have you overcome any of those challenges in your career?
That Commonwealth Games bronze medal match was without a doubt one of the hardest days of my squash career, from a perspective of, I was so bitterly disappointed to lose the semi-final the day before. I had everything in the months and even like years before that Games was aimed at trying to get a gold medal in that singles, and you've lost the semi-final, so that dream has been shattered. And then you've got to go and play a match the next day, and if you lose that match, you don't get any medal. So that is without a doubt one of the toughest scenarios that I've been in, and I was so incredibly flat at the start of that match.
How have your coaches and support team around you kept you motivated throughout your career?
I think that team's crucial, and from when I was about 10 years old, I was coached by Steve Townsend here at Kenilworth. That was fantastic. He encouraged me to play. He really encouraged me to explore the angles on the court, how I enjoyed playing, and gave me the freedom to do that. And I worked with Steve for a long time, and then when I decided I needed a change, I felt like I needed some different input and I think a fresh focus. And then I went and worked with Sue Rose, who you probably know, Sue Wright, a former player, who got very high herself. And she, although I didn't work with her for that long, about a year, it was really actual important year for me. She instilled a lot of discipline in me and the importance of that. And that was, I think, that really set me up for the next sort of stage of my career, which then, since then, I've been working with Rob Owen at West Warwickshire Club in Solihull. Rob Owen's very good at, he's an incredibly knowledgeable coach and technical coach and tactician, but he will he will tell you that nutrition is not his strong point, that strength conditioning is not his strong point, and but he will find the people who it is and work with them to collaborate and get the most effective thing out. I think by his accounts, when he played, he used to eat peas and ice cream. So that was his
Together.
That was his. Well, that was what
Peas on top of the ice cream.
I don't think together, but that was what his diet consisted of. So he did pretty well considering. I think we've had some advancements in sports nutrition since then.
So aside from me and you having a lot more coffee and cake when you retire, what other things are you most looking forward to, or what do you think it's going to be like going back to sort of normal life in a weird way?
I mean, what is normal life? I think there's certain things, obviously, that you end up putting on hold, or that you have to sacrifice a lot during your playing career. A lot of the time, because you're physically not in the country and you miss certain events and things like that. So I'm looking forward to being able to attend more of the sort of family and friends events and things like that. Also looking forward to being able to spend more time with my son and my family, and obviously coffee and cake, and having a bit more control of your own calendar.